After my ex-wife ruined our marriage for a married man, she comes back years later to ruin our happiness with his ex-wife. Me, 29 years old. Living in Phoenix, laying on my leather couch one evening, half watching some documentary about cold cases. Phone suddenly buzzes. It's my wife, Lily. Should be at her office right now. Think maybe it's just a sweet message. Maybe just checking in. Pick up the phone. Something feels off immediately. Her voice sounds weird, like she's reading from a script. Tense and robotic. We need to talk. Those words hit different. No, this isn't a normal call. This is the kind that changes everything. Nothing could have prepared me for what came next. Maybe she was just leaving a nice message. Maybe just wanted to check on me. But her voice is all wrong. Tight and mechanical, like she's reading prepared lines. She says, "Hey, Robert, we need to talk." Not stupid or naive. Last time Lily used those exact words. We ended up in couples therapy for months. She claimed I was emotionally unavailable. Something vague like that. But this time there's something else. Can hear a tremor in her voice. She can't hide the shaky tension. Feel dread creeping in. Sets me on edge. All right, talk then, I say. Sit up straight. My focus sharpening. No, not like this. Not over the phone. Can hear her unsteady breathing. The shaky inhale. Before I can press for answers, she hangs up. Just like that? Won't sugarcoat it. Next few hours were pure torture. My mind went to dark places, conjuring every possible scenario, but nothing could have prepared me for what actually happened that evening. Lily walks through our door. She's not alone. Has some guy with her? Complete stranger. Looks around 37, wearing a suit that screams corporate middle management, like something from a department store clearance rack. Lily can't even look me in the eyes. The guy just stands there, looking like he wants to vanish. Who's this? I demand, heart racing in my chest. Guy opens his mouth to speak, but Lily cuts him off, finally meets my gaze. Her expression is cold, almost defiant. This is Adam. He's the guy I've been seeing. Feel the ground shift beneath me, like all the air just got sucked out of the room. She says it so flatly, not a hint of emotion. My first reaction is to laugh. Think this has to be some sick joke. But it's not. Adam keeps staring at the floor, hands buried deep in his pockets, while Lily just stands there. Her face shows zero remorse, no trace of sorrow. Wait, what? My voice cracks. Mix of disbelief, anger, and confusion. She doesn't even blink. We've been seeing each other for about a year, Lily continues. Her words sound rehearsed, like she's gone over this conversation dozens of times in her head, maybe even more. I think I love him. That's when my stomach twists. Feel rage rising inside me. Anger not just at her, but at the whole situation. At myself. How could I have missed this? The late nights at work, the new mysterious friends, sudden obsession with her appearance. It had all been right there. I ignored every single red flag, like a complete fool. Adam finally lifts his head. Something in his expression sends me over the edge. It's not guilt I see, it's pity. He actually pities me. Get the hell out of my house. Shoot a furious glare at him. Step forward with clenched fist. Adam flinches. His eyes go wide. Looks like he might bolt any second. But Lily quickly steps between us. Her expression hardens, like she's ready for a fight, like she'd defend him. Robert, just stop, okay? This isn't about you losing it. She snaps at me, glances over at Adam protectively. He's staying. We need to talk. He's what? Can't believe what I'm hearing. Vision goes red with anger. Raw heat burning in my chest. Ready to burst out. You bring the guy you cheated with into my house. And he's staying? Point directly at Adam, my hand trembling with rage. Get out or I swear. Lily puts her hand on my chest. No warmth in the gesture, just a firm, unyielding push. Like I'm some wild animal she needs to control. Her voice comes out low, eerily calm. You're not calling the shots here, Robert. Not anymore. That one line hits like a punch to the gut. Everything between us shifts in that moment. The woman I thought I knew, she's revealed a side I never imagined. A side that's icy, methodical, and absolutely, completely done with me. Adam backs up a few steps, mutters something about waiting outside, slips out the door, like he couldn't disappear fast enough. Now it's just me and Lily, standing in the wreckage of what she just dropped on me. Why? It's the only word I can get out. My voice barely more than a whisper. She lets out a deep sigh, runs a hand through her hair, stares at the floor. Do you really want to know? Because it stopped being enough for me a long time ago. And Adam, he's what I need now. Her words hang in the air, each one twisting deeper into my chest like a knife. Just stand there frozen, lungs refusing to draw air. Everything has changed forever. Lily's words echo through my mind. Cold, detached, final. Can't wrap my head around it. Every part of me wants to scream. To rage. to somehow rewind time, to erase this nightmare. But all I can do is stand there, staring at this woman who suddenly feels like a stranger. How long? Force the question out, my voice cracking, each word slicing through me. How long have you been seeing him, Lily? Need answers. Anything to make sense of the chaos. She rolls her eyes. Like I'm being dramatic. Like my pain is nothing but a hassle. I already told you. About a year, she replies with pure irritation. Robert, can we skip the drama? You asked, I told you. It's over a year. An entire year. That means she was already sneaking around. While we took that trip to Colorado, trying to reconnect, while I was making her favorite Thai food, trying to bring life back to our evenings, she was with him. While I was making plans for our future, thinking about starting a family, her mind was somewhere else entirely. Feels like someone took a sledgehammer to the last 8 years of my life. Smashing it all to pieces, something inside me breaks. It isn't just anger. It's something deeper, more explosive. Can't hold it back any longer. My hands fly out. Knock a crystal vase off the kitchen counter. It crashes against the marble floor. Shatters into countless pieces. Glass shards scatter everywhere. Lily flinches. Her face briefly shows something. Almost resembles fear, before she puts on that familiar mask of indifference. Are you done? She asks. Her tone frigid. Her eyes locked onto mine. She steps right over the broken glass. Like it's nothing more than a minor inconvenience. A mess she's used to dealing with. No, Lily, I'm not done. The words come out like venom. You waltz in here with this guy. Tell me you think you love him. And expect me to do what exactly? Just accept it? Let him stay while we have some heart-to-heart. Let out a bitter laugh. Who even does that? What happened to you? She shakes her head. A look crosses her face. Almost seems like pity. You really don't understand, do you? I called you today because I wanted you to hear it from me. Before it got out, Adam's wife found out. That's why I had to bring him here. Adam's wife? The words hit me like a punch to the gut. He's married. Feels like every new detail. Makes this whole mess worse. Each revelation uglier than the last. So you're the other woman too? You're both tearing apart two families. For what, Lily? A thrill? She crosses her arms. Her lips press into a tight line. Stop trying to make me out as the villain, Robert. You were never here. Always buried in work. Lost in your own thoughts. I needed more than what you could give me. Adam gets me in ways you never did. And yeah, he's married. Or at least he was. About to be divorced. This isn't just some fling. Take a step back. Feel my pulse quicken. The anger inside starts mixing with something colder, heavier. Something like despair. So that's what this is? You're running away from everything. Because it got too hard? Too real? Lily lets out a laugh. But it's hollow. Nothing like the genuine laughter I used to love hearing from her. Maybe I am. Or maybe I just realized I deserve to be happy. And you know what? I don't regret it. Stand there stunned, barely able to process what she's saying. Her voice holds no remorse, no sadness, just a certainty that she hadn't done anything wrong. That's when it hits me. Lily isn't going to apologize. She's not going to ask for forgiveness. Not trying to make things right. In her mind, she's justified. Somehow I'm the one too blind to see it. Just then the front door creaks open. Adam walks back in. His eyes widen when he sees the shattered vase and the tension hanging thick in the room. He glances between Lily and me, then asks quietly, "Is this a bad time?" Lily turns to him. In that moment, it's like I've become invisible. Her expression softens, her eyes warming as she looks at him. In a way I haven't seen her look at me in years. No, it's fine, she says, her voice gentle, almost soothing. She moves closer to him, places a hand on his arm, like they're already a couple, like they share a world that I'm shut out of. Watching her touch him like that, right there in my own home, surrounded by the shattered remains of what we once had, something inside me cracks. This isn't just a betrayal. It's like she's erasing everything we built together, rewriting the story of us while I stand there with the torn up pieces. Grab my keys off the table, the cold metal digging into my palm, turn toward the door. Can't stay in that place another second. I'm leaving, I say, my voice barely steady. And when I get back, I want you both gone. Do you hear me, Lily? I want you out of my house. She doesn't even look at me, keeps her gaze fixed on Adam, like he's the only person in the room who matters. And that, more than any word she could have said, tells me everything I need to know. Slam the door behind me. The noise echoes through the empty hallway. Have no idea where I'm heading. No plan. But I know one thing for sure. This is the end. The end of us. The end of the version of myself I thought I was. And maybe, just maybe, it's the start of something new, where I can finally see her for who she truly is. Drive for hours that night. No destination in mind. Just the endless road stretching out under my headlights. The steady hum of the engine. Only sound breaking through. The storm of thoughts in my head feel completely lost. No clear direction. No clue how to process the wreckage left behind. Lily's voice, her cold indifference. Adam standing there in my home. It all plays on loop in my mind, like a nightmare I can't wake up from. Eventually find myself in a deserted parking lot. On the outskirts of town, near a row of shuttered shops and a closed-down Whataburger. Pull in and turn off the engine. Just sit there, letting the darkness envelop me. Like a blanket, been holding back a tidal wave of emotion for hours. And now, alone, finally let it crash over me. The tears come suddenly, stinging my eyes as I pound my fists against the steering wheel. How could she do this? How could she look at me with those same eyes that used to be filled with love and tell me I meant nothing to her now? That everything we built together was just a lie. Scream at the top of my lungs, sound muffled by the car's closed windows. Doesn't matter. No one around to hear anyway. My phone buzzes on the passenger seat. Screen lighting up with a notification. Glance over, ready to ignore some random message. But then I freeze. It's not spam. It's from Claire, Lily's best friend. The same Claire who called me yesterday, sounding like she had something to say, but couldn't quite bring herself to say it. Robert, I need to talk to you. I know about Adam. Please call me. My heart races, the message blurring in front of my eyes. Dial her number right away, my hand still shaking. After a few rings, Claire picks up. Robert, she breathes, her voice a mix of relief and hesitation. I didn't think you'd call. Claire, what's going on? Cut straight to the point, my voice rough and strained. You called me yesterday. You knew about Adam? You knew something. Just tell me everything. There's a long pause. Can almost hear her battling with herself. On the other end, finally she speaks, her voice barely more than a whisper. Lily's been lying to you, Robert. I didn't want to get involved, but I can't keep quiet anymore. She's not just seeing Adam. She's been planning to leave you for months. She was waiting for the right moment, for everything to be convenient. Feel my heart pounding in my ears, her words like a bucket of ice water. Convenient? Repeat in disbelief, exhaustion fogging my mind. Convenient for what? For Adam to leave his wife, she replies, her voice cracking. Lily wanted to make sure he was serious before she tore your life apart. But Robert, it's even worse than you think. She pauses, hear her swallow hard. That's why my wife, who had an affair with a married man 7 years ago, called me. That's what Adam's wife told me. Lily's done this before. Go completely still, my grip on the phone tightening, until my knuckles turn white. What are you talking about? Managed to choke out, barely able to catch my breath. 7 years ago, Lily was having an affair with another married man, she explains, her voice trembling. His wife reached out to me back then. She was absolutely devastated. I thought it was just some wild rumor, a story that didn't hold water. But now seeing her with Adam, watching how she's been acting, it all makes sense. Claire's voice shakes, like she can hardly believe what she's saying. Robert, she never stopped. She just found a new target. My whole body goes cold, the chills seeping from my chest down to my fingertips. 7 years ago, that was when everything between us had started to feel off. Chalked it up to stress, work, or any excuse we could come up with. When we don't want to face reality, never imagined that all this time, Lily had been hiding something so twisted, so deceitful. Why didn't you tell me? Finally managed to whisper, my voice barely audible. Because Lily is my friend, Robert. Claire's voice breaks. I thought she'd changed. I thought she'd grown up. That she truly wanted something real with you. But I can't keep covering for her. Not after seeing what she's doing now. You don't deserve this. You deserve the truth. End the call without another word. Let the phone slip from my grasp. Onto the seat beside me. 7 years. 7 long years of deceit. Of being played like a fool. While she wove her web of lies. And Adam, he wasn't the first. Not even close. The air in the car feels thick, suffocating. Shove the door open. Step out into the cold night. Need air. Need to feel anything other than the crushing weight of betrayal. The stars glitter above. Scattered across the sky. Indifferent to my pain. Tilt my head back. Staring up at them. Wondering how many more secrets Lily had hidden. How much of my life with her had been a sham. Then out of nowhere, something shifts inside me. The grief, the anger, the sense of betrayal. They all crystallize into something sharper. More resolute. Not going to let her keep doing this to me. Not going to stay in the dark while she continues her double life. Grab my phone again. Scroll through my contacts. With newfound purpose, there's one person I need to speak to. Not Claire. Not a therapist. Not anyone who tried to console me. Need the truth from someone who had seen it all firsthand. Adam's wife. After a few rings, a tired, shaky voice answers. Hello? Hi, this is Robert, Lily's husband. I think we need to talk. There's a pause, followed by a heavy sigh, a sound that carries more pain than words ever could. Yeah, she says quietly. I think we do. The next day, meet Adam's wife at a small bakery cafe, just outside of town. Her name is Hannah. On the drive there, imagined how our meeting might go. 100 different scenarios running through my mind. How she might react, what she might look like, how I'd even begin this conversation. But nothing could have prepared me for the reality of seeing her. Hannah is sitting by the window, half-empty cappuccino in front of her, staring vacantly out at the street. She looks exhausted, like she hasn't slept in days. Her face is pale, eyes puffy and rimmed with red. When she sees me enter, gives a small, weary wave. Walk over, feeling a strange mixture of dread and determination. Been lodged in my chest since the night before? Robert, she asks softly. As I reach the table, yeah, I reply. Slide into the chair across from her, force a smile. But it feels hollow. Thanks for meeting with me. Hannah nods, gripping her coffee cup tightly. With both hands, an awkward silence settles between us. The air thick with the weight of everything we know, everything we've lost, have no idea where to start, how to find the words. How do you talk to a stranger whose life has been ripped apart by the same person who tore yours to pieces? Finally, Hannah breaks the silence. You know, she says, her voice trembling. When I found out about Adam and Lily, I thought I was going crazy. I kept hoping it wasn't true, that there was some other explanation. But the truth always comes out, doesn't it? Nod slowly, swallowing hard, trying to steady my voice. Yeah, it does. Take a deep breath. Decide to just dive in. Claire told me about Lily's past, about what happened 7 years ago. With the other married man, I had no idea. Hannah stares at me for a long moment, her eyes searching mine, then lets out a bitter laugh. Shaking her head, I wish I could say I was surprised, Robert. But honestly, when I found out about Lily, I knew she wasn't new to this. Hannah says, her voice carrying a weight. That speaks of months, maybe years of hurt. The way Adam talked about her, the way she carried herself, it was clear she'd done this before. She knew exactly how to manipulate him, how to make him believe she was the answer to all his problems. She pauses, her gaze dropping to the table, her pain etched deep in her expression. Adam thought she was something special. He kept saying she understood him. In a way I didn't anymore. I don't think he ever realized just how much he was throwing away. For someone who was only playing a game, clenched my jaw, anger bubbling up again. At the thought of Lily's cold, calculated moves, at the way she treated everything we had, as if it were nothing but a piece, in her twisted little game. Lily did the same thing to me, I say, my voice low and barely contained. She brought Adam to our home, told me she thought she loved him. Right there, like it meant nothing. Hannah looks up, her eyes shimmering with tears. Did she parade him in front of you too, like some sort of trophy? Yes, I reply. The bitterness sharpened my throat. She made me stand there while she showed him off, like some sort of prize. I don't think I'll ever forget that look she gave me, like I was nothing more than trash. She was finally ready to throw out. Hannah closes her eyes for a moment, taking a shaky breath as she tries to compose herself. I'm so sorry, Robert. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I wouldn't wish this kind of betrayal on anyone. We sit in silence for a while, the heaviness of our shared experiences settling around us. Look at her, see the raw pain etched on her face, and realize that in a strange way, I'm not alone in this. Hannah has been used just like me, lied to, cheated on, her life torn apart by the same people who shattered mine. Do you know what you're going to do? She asked softly after a moment, her voice barely a whisper. Shake my head, the uncertainty still gnawing at me. I don't know, I admit. Part of me wants to burn it all down, to make them feel even a fraction of what I'm feeling, and another part of me just wants to walk away and never look back. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. Hannah gives a small, sad smile, nodding slowly. Yeah, I know what you mean. I thought about leaving Adam the second I found out, but now I just feel numb. I don't know if I have the strength to fight anymore. He's trying to make things right, making promises, but they all sound hollow now. The idea of Lily attempting to make amends seems laughable to me. Can only imagine her scoffing at the thought of saying sorry or feeling any sort of regret. Lily didn't even pretend to be sorry, I say, the bitterness seeping into my words. She acted like I was the problem, like I'm the reason she needed to find someone else. Hannah nods, her gaze dropping again. That's how they do it, isn't it? They twist things around, make it seem like we pushed them to this, like somehow it's our fault. But it's not. She looks up then, meeting my eyes with a sharpness that makes me realize she's stronger than she seems. We didn't do this to them, Robert. They did this to us, and we can't let them take any more from us. We deserve better than this. Her words strike something deep within me, a flicker of strength I hadn't felt in what seemed like forever. She's right. This isn't my fault. I wasn't the one who lied, who cheated, who betrayed everything we built. That was all on Lily and Adam. They made their choices, and now they'd have to live with the fallout. Take a deep breath, letting the weight of those thoughts settle inside me. You're right. We deserve better. We deserve people who actually care about us, who won't lie to our faces. Hannah gives a small, sad smile, but there's a glimmer of hope in it, a shared understanding between two people trying to pick up the pieces of their lives. Yeah, we do. And maybe, just maybe, one day we'll find that, Hannah says softly, we stay there for a while longer, trading stories, pouring out our frustrations, our hurt, and by the time we're done, feel something that had been missing. Since this whole mess began, a hint of relief. Hannah understands. In a way no one else possibly could. She had been right in the middle of the same storm, enduring the same heartbreak, and somehow talking to her makes me feel just a little less isolated. In all of this, as I get up to leave, look at her, and for the first time, there's a spark of something I hadn't felt in weeks. Maybe it's hope. Thank you, Hannah, for meeting me, for listening. She gives a small nod, her eyes still tinged with sadness, but there's a new strength behind them, a determination that hadn't been there before. We're in this together, Robert. We'll get through it. One way or another, step out of the bakery cafe, the cold air hitting my face. Like a wake-up call. This isn't the end. Not by a long shot. Lily might have shattered my world. But I'm not about to let her walk away without facing the consequences of her actions. As I walk back to my car, feel a newfound sense of purpose settle in my chest. I'm done being a victim. It's time to take back control, to decide my own path forward, and to finally truly let go of the woman who had shown me just how little I meant to her. By the time I get home that night, a plan has already started, taking shape in my mind. I'm not going to let Lily walk away. With my dignity, she made her choices. And now it's my turn. She thought she could craft her perfect exit without facing any fallout, parade Adam in front of me, undermine everything we built, and leave me to pick up the pieces alone. Well, I have other ideas. As I walk into the house, the weight of what I'm about to do settles in my gut. The house is silent, eerily so. For a fleeting moment, wonder if Lily actually took me seriously and left. But then I hear it. Voices coming from the living room. Her voice, his voice, they're still here, whispering like teenagers, caught in a secret. My blood boils as I move toward the living room door, their hushed conversation becoming clearer. Lily's voice is soft, coaxing, trying to reassure him. It's fine, Adam. He just needed to blow off some steam. He'll come around eventually. He always does. Those words ignite something deep inside me. She thinks she has me pegged, thinks I would just roll over and accept whatever crumbs of attention she decided to offer. No matter how many times she shoved me aside. But she's wrong. Push the door open. They both snap their heads toward me. Lily's eyes widen in surprise. For a split second, before narrowing, her defiance snapping back into place. Adam, though, looks like he wishes he could melt into the floor, shifting uneasily beside her. Robert, Lily says, her tone dripping with irritation. You're back already? Ignore her. Keep my focus on Adam. You need to leave. Say it with a steady voice. But carrying an edge, that leaves no room for debate. Now, Adam swallows hard, casting a pleading glance at Lily, but she gives him nothing to hold on to. Finally, he nods, mumbling something about waiting outside, and hurries out of the room, the front door closing behind him. With a soft click, now it's just me and Lily, facing each other in the living room. That had once been the backdrop to so many happy memories, game nights, lazy mornings, laughter. Now it feels like a war zone. Really, Robert? Lily snaps, crossing her arms over her chest. You're seriously going to keep acting like this? You said you were leaving. Take a step closer. Refusing to look away. Refusing to back down. You think you can bring him into my house? And I'm just supposed to walk away? You think I'm going to let you rewrite our history and make me out to be the problem? Her defiance falters for a moment. But then she sets her jaw, ready to argue. But this time, I'm not going to let her twist the narrative. I'm done being the one left in the dark. It's time for her to face the reality she'd created. No, Lily, you're not getting away that easy. Speak with a steadiness I haven't felt before. My anger now a cold, controlled thing. She lets out a scoff, her lips curling into a disdainful smirk. What are you talking about, Robert? This is over. You and me, we're done. I've moved on. You and Adam are pathetic. cut her off, my voice unwavering. He's a coward, and you're just making the same mistakes. Over and over again. See her flinch slightly, but I press on. Claire told me about your affairs 7 years ago, about the married man back then. You've been down this road before, Lily. You're not some victim who needed more love, or whatever excuse you want to give. You're a liar, and you're tearing apart lives. For what? To feel like you have some control, some power? For the first time, her expression falters, genuine shock flickering in her eyes. She opens her mouth, as if to respond, but no words come out. I keep going, unwilling to give her a chance, to catch her breath. You don't get to make me feel like this is on me. Say it with my voice rising, the anger breaking through my control. You don't get to stand there and pretend like I pushed you to this. You did this, Lily. You made the choice to lie, to sneak around, to bring him into my home. You made this mess, and you don't even have the decency to admit it. Her face flushes with anger. She glares at me, defiance surging back into her eyes. You think you're so perfect, Robert? You think you were such a great husband? You were distant. You were always obsessed with work. You didn't make me feel wanted. Shake my head, a bitter laugh escaping me. And instead of coming to me, instead of trying to work things out like an adult, you ran off and did the same thing. You always do. You found someone else to fill the gap. But here's the truth, Lily. You're never going to be happy this way. You'll keep running, keep lying, and you'll never find what you're looking for. She stares at me, her eyes wide, her mouth moving, as if she wants to argue. But no words come out. For a brief moment, I see the mask slip, revealing something else in her expression, something that almost looks like fear. You're wrong, she finally says, her voice barely more than a whisper. Adam loves me. He understands me. No, Lily, I reply. Step closer, my voice softer but still carrying an edge. Adam doesn't know you. He knows the version of you. That needs to feel exciting. That needs to believe she's saving someone. But he doesn't know the real you. And deep down, I think you know that too. Her gaze drops to the floor, her arms falling limply at her sides. For the first time, she seems small, almost fragile, like the reality of everything she had done was finally starting to sink in. Take a deep breath, a strange calm settling over me. I had said what I needed to say. And for the first time since all of this began, feel a small sense of relief. This isn't my burden to carry anymore. It's hers. I want you out of the house, Lily. Say it, keeping my voice firm. Take whatever you need. But I want you gone by tomorrow. I'll be talking to a lawyer. We're done. She looks up at me, her eyes clouded with something I can't quite read. Maybe fear, maybe regret, or a hint of realization. But it doesn't matter anymore. Whatever she's feeling, it's too late. The damage is done, and there's no fixing it. Lily doesn't say anything. She just gives a small, almost imperceptible nod, then turns and heads toward the stairs. Watch her walk away, feeling a hollow emptiness settle into my chest. This is it, the end of us. Not how I ever pictured it would end, but it's the reality staring me in the face. As her footsteps fade, I turn and step out into the cool night air, letting the chill wash over me. Adam is leaning against his car. When I pull up, his face pale, his eyes wide as they meet mine. He looks like he wants to speak, maybe to apologize, or to justify everything that had happened. But I don't give him the chance. Walk right past him, not saying a word. Get into my car and drive away, leaving him standing in the cold. This isn't about Lily or Adam anymore. It's about me finding a way to rebuild, to move forward, to finally let go of the weight that had been dragging me down for far too long. And as I drive, with the night stretching out endlessly in front of me, one thing becomes clear. I was going to be okay. Lily had tried to break me, to tear apart everything we built, but I was still standing. And now it was time to start over, to find something real, something true, something that couldn't be shattered by lies and deceit. The next morning, wake up in a dingy little motel. On the edge of town, the sun creeps through thin, faded curtains, casting pale beams across the room. For a brief, blissful moment, feel nothing, no pain, no anger, just a sense of empty clarity. But then, like a wave, crashing back onto the shore, it all rushes in again. Lily, Adam, the betrayal that had ripped my life apart. The room feels cold, the kind of chill that seeps right into your bones. No, I can't linger here. It's time to face the next steps, to confront the reality of what needs to be done. Drive back to the house in silence, my mind churning through all that had happened. What would be waiting for me? When I walked through that door, would Lily still be there, lingering for one last confrontation? Would Adam be skulking around, trying to make some kind of amends? My grip tightens on the steering wheel, knuckles turning white. As I brace myself for whatever comes next, when I pull into the driveway, notice that Lily's car is gone. A strange emptiness washes over me when I see the empty space where it had been parked, a void that seems to echo. In the stillness of the morning, the front door is unlocked. As I step inside, the house feels eerily deserted. It isn't just her absence that I feel. It's as though the life has drained out of the place, like all the memories we built there had evaporated into the night. She'd left behind a few things, boxes stacked by the door, filled with clothes, books, and random odds and ends she hadn't taken yet. I don't bother to look inside. Letting out a deep breath, walk into the living room, and come to a halt. On the coffee table sits an envelope with my name, scrolled on it in Lily's familiar handwriting. A note. Pick up the envelope. Feel a knot form in my stomach. For a moment, consider tossing it straight into the trash, unread. But curiosity gets the better of me. Tear open the envelope, the paper crackling loudly. In the stillness of the empty house, Lily's neat, controlled handwriting stares back at me. Force myself to read it. Robert, I know there is nothing I can say that will make this right. I never wanted to hurt you, but I know that's meaningless now. I think part of me believed I could somehow keep both lives going without anyone getting hurt, but I realize how selfish and foolish that was. I'm not going to ask for your forgiveness because I know I don't deserve it. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry for lying to you, for betraying you, for not being brave enough to tell you the truth sooner. I hope one day you can understand why I did what I did, even if you never forgive me. Lily crumpled the note in my hand, feeling the paper crunch between my fingers. Her words barely register. The arrogance of her hope that I might understand her actions. Almost laughable. This isn't about seeing her perspective or understanding why she made the choices she did. It's about the reality that she had shattered everything we'd built together. And for what? A fleeting thrill, a chance to feel something different. Let the crumpled note fall onto the table, landing among the boxes she'd left behind. That was her version of an apology. Too little, far too late. Wrapped in a tidy bow of self-justification, the damage had been done, and nothing she could write on a piece of paper was going to change that. Take one last look around the empty house, then turn and walk back out. Into the morning light, I have my own life to rebuild. Not going to waste another second. Honor lies, a few vague lines about not wanting to hurt me, a quick attempt at justifying her actions. That did nothing to ease the pain she'd caused. Turn away from the letter, refusing to let Lily take up any more space in my mind. She's gone, and that's that. But with her out of my life, the enormity of the next steps hits me like a wave. Need to call a lawyer to sort through the tangled mess of our shared accounts, our possessions, everything we'd once woven together into a single life. It's overwhelming to think about, unraveling it all. But it also feels like a kind of freedom, like I'm reclaiming parts of myself that had been buried for too long. Pick up my phone, scroll through my contacts, until I land on the number of a divorce lawyer I'd heard good things about. My thumb hovers over the call button, my stomach twisting into knots. This is it. Once I make this call, there would be no going back, no chance for reconciliation, no hope of fixing what was broken. But that hope had died. The moment Lily had walked through the door with Adam, pressed the button, bring the phone to my ear, the ringing echoing through the quiet, empty room. After a few moments, a crisp professional voice answers, and I introduce myself, summarizing my situation in a detached, almost robotic tone. The lawyer listens carefully, asking a few clarifying questions, and by the time I hang up, feel a weight begin to lift from my shoulders. This is the right step. I can't keep living in this limbo, clutching onto the remnants of a life that had already fallen to pieces. Need to move forward, to begin building something new, something that is mine, free from Lily, free from the lies that had poisoned everything. The rest of the day passes in a blur as I pack up her things, shoving clothes into boxes, without caring whether they're folded neatly or crumpled. Move through the house with a sense of urgency, driven by a need to clear it all out, to purge every trace of her from my space. By the time I'm done, the living room is filled with boxes, each one labeled, each containing the last remains of what had once been our shared life. Call a moving company, arrange for the boxes to be sent to her new address. Lily hadn't told me where she was going, but Claire had it. Felt fitting. Lily leaving without a word, and me handling the loose ends. Later that night, as the last box is loaded onto the truck, stand in the doorway watching. As it drives away, the tail lights disappearing into the darkness. The house is mine again, empty and quiet, ready for whatever comes next. Step back inside, closing the door behind me, and for the first time in weeks, feel something that's almost like peace. No more secrets lurking in the shadows. No more lies waiting to be uncovered. Lily is gone, and I'm still here, still standing, still ready to move forward. Grab a cold beer from the fridge, settle onto the couch, and gaze out the window at the night sky. The silence around me is comforting. The emptiness no longer a reminder of what I'd lost, but of the new space I had to rebuild my own life, my own choices. Think about Hannah, about the look in her eyes. As we'd sat across from each other in that bakery cafe, the mixture of determination and sadness. We'd both been betrayed, both left to pick up the pieces after someone else's choices shattered our lives, but we had survived. And now maybe, just maybe, we could each find a way to start over, to build something real, something that wouldn't crumble under the weight of deceit. Take a sip of my beer, the cool liquid a contrast to the warmth spreading through my chest. Don't know what the future will hold. Don't know if love will come again, or if I even want it to, but I know one thing for certain. I'm free now, free from the lies, free from the weight of a marriage that had been broken long before I realized it. And that freedom, that uncertainty, it doesn't scare me anymore. It feels like the beginning of something new, something I could shape from scratch. And for the first time in a long time, feel a flicker of hope. Not for Lily, not for what we'd lost, but for myself, for the person I could become, the life I could build. The road ahead is wide open, and I'm ready to see where it might lead. A week passes, and in that time, the house begins to transform. Repaint the walls, get rid of the old sectional sofa that Lily loved, replace it with something sleek and modern, something that feels more like me. Buy new dishes, swap out the bed sheets, toss her old throw pillows. It's like a metamorphosis, a way of marking the end of everything that had been ours. It's therapeutic, and with every change, the place feels a little more like my home, and a little less like a reminder of what I'd lost. Had just finished painting the guest bedroom, a cool, calming shade of blue. When there's a knock at the door, wipe my hands on a rag. Frowning, I'm not expecting anyone, and it's late. My first thought is that maybe Lily had come back to stir up more drama, but I know better. She's too proud, too stubborn to crawl back after the confrontation we'd had. Open the door, and to my surprise, it isn't Lily. It's Adam. He looks terrible, his face pale, eyes rimmed with exhaustion, like he hasn't slept in days. He stands on my doorstep, hands shoved deep in his pockets, just staring at me, like he couldn't quite remember why he'd come. A wave of anger surges through me, my jaw clenching at the sight of him. This is the man who had wrecked my marriage, who had stood in my living room, like he had some right to be there, who had looked at me with pity. "Robert," he finally says, his voice low and hoarse. "Can we talk?" Want to slam the door in his face, to tell him to get the hell off my property, to never show his face here again. But something in his expression stops me. There's a brokenness, a desperation I hadn't seen before. He looks like a man whose life had come apart at the seams. And maybe in some twisted way, I'm curious to hear what he has to say. Step back, leaving the door open just enough for him to enter if he chooses. He hesitates for a moment, then walks inside, his eyes darting around, as though expecting Lily to appear from behind a corner, lead him into the living room. And we stand there awkwardly, the air thick with tension. "What do you want, Adam?" Ask with my tone cold and uninviting, not in the mood for apologies or explanations. He swallows hard, his Adam's apple bobbing, and finally speaks. "Lily left me." His voice cracks. He looks at me, and there's something raw in his eyes, a kind of hurt that almost makes me pity him. "She left 2 days ago. Packed up her things and walked out. She didn't even say goodbye." Stare at him, my anger mixing with surprise. "She left it." It's strange to imagine Lily abandoning him after everything she'd done, after all the chaos she'd unleashed in our lives to be with him. "Why are you here, Adam? Why are you telling me this?" He runs a hand through his hair, a shaky breath escaping his lips. "Because I don't know what else to do." He admits, "She's gone, Robert. She used me, just like she used you. I thought she loved me. I thought she wanted a life with me. But she just left. She used me to blow up her life. And when the dust settled, she moved on without a second thought. Can't help it. Laugh." A bitter, humorless sound that echoes through the empty room. "And what did you expect me to say to that, Adam? You think I'm going to feel sorry for you? You think I'm going to help you pick up the pieces?" Shake my head, my anger flaring, fueled by the audacity of him, standing here, wanting my sympathy. "You destroyed my marriage, Adam. You came into my home, stood in front of me, and took what wasn't yours. And now you want me to help you? Because she did the same thing to you?" He flinches at my words, his face crumpling. For a moment, think he might actually break down and cry. I know I don't deserve anything from you, he says, his voice faltering. I know I messed up. I needed you to know. I needed someone to understand. She didn't just hurt you, Robert. She hurt me too. Stare at him, my anger simmering beneath the surface. But there's something else there too. Something I can't quite name. It isn't forgiveness, but maybe a grudging recognition of the pain we both share. Different yet somehow the same. Adam isn't my friend, and he never will be. But standing there, can see that he's just another casualty of Lily's destructive choices. Caught up in her whirlwind and left to pick up the pieces. Let out a long breath, the tension easing just slightly. I get it, Adam, say finally, my voice low, almost resigned. But that doesn't change what you did, and it doesn't change what she did. We're both going to have to find a way to live with that. He nods, looking down at the floor, his shoulders slumping, like the weight of it all had finally settled on him. After a moment, he turns and walks back toward the door, leaving without another word. Watch him go, the night swallowing him up. As he disappears down the driveway, when I close the door, the house feels quieter than before. But the silence doesn't bother me. It isn't the heavy silence of loss. It's the quiet that comes after a storm, when you're left to survey the wreckage and figure out how to rebuild. I'm not sure what comes next, but I know one thing. Lily is gone, and so is the hold she had on my life. And for the first time in a long time, that feels like enough. A strange sense of understanding settles between us. Adam was right. Lily had hurt us both, had used both of us to fill whatever emptiness she was trying to escape. And when she had taken all she could, she walked away without a backward glance. Take a deep breath, the tightness in my shoulders loosening just a bit. What did you think was going to happen, Adam? Ask, my tone softer now, though still laced with bitterness. Did you think she'd be different with you? That she'd suddenly change who she is? He shakes his head, eyes cast down. I don't know, he says quietly. I guess I thought we were special. That she really loved me. Sigh, rubbing a hand over my face, feeling the exhaustion of the past few weeks settle deep into my bones. Lily doesn't love anyone, Adam. Not truly. She loves the idea of being loved. She loves the thrill, the chase. But once she gets what she wants, she loses interest. That's just who she is. He looks up at me, and in his eyes I see a hopelessness that's all too familiar. What do I do now? He asks, his voice barely more than a whisper. How do I move on from this? Study him for a long moment. This man who had once been my enemy, who had played a part in tearing my life apart, but now he isn't my enemy anymore. He's just another casualty of Lily's selfishness, another person left in the ruins of her choices. You pick up the pieces. Say finally, my voice tired but firm. You start over. You learn from it, and you don't let it define you. You move on, Adam. It's the only thing you can do. He nods slowly, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. I'm sorry, Robert, he says, his voice breaking, his words catching in his throat. I know it doesn't mean much, but I am. I wish I could take it back. Nod, but can't bring myself to say anything in return. Maybe one day I could forgive him. Maybe one day the anger would fade, and I'd see him as just another person, caught in Lily's web. But that day isn't today. You should go, say, stepping back and pulling the door open for him. He nods again, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand, and walks out without another word, the door clicking shut behind him. Stand there for a moment, letting the silence wrap around me again, and feel something shift inside. Adam's visit had been unexpected, and the pain he brought with him had reopened wounds I thought were ready to heal, but it had also brought something else, a sense of closure. Lily is gone. And whatever hold she'd had over Adam, over me, was gone too. Walk back into the living room, taking in the changes I'd made, the new beginnings I'd carved out for myself. And it hits me that I don't need anything from Lily anymore. Not her apologies, not her explanations, not even her regret. I'm finally free. And for the first time, I truly believe it. Days turn into weeks. Time seems to slow down in a way I can finally appreciate. For the first time in what feels like forever, I'm not bracing for the next blow, the next betrayal, the next desperate attempt to keep a relationship alive that had been dead long before I accepted it. Can focus on my own life now, without any lingering shadows, without any ghosts from the past. Start doing things for myself, simple things I hadn't done in years. Take a book to the park, find a spot beneath an old maple tree, lose myself in stories that aren't my own. Go to the gym more often, running until my lungs burn and my heart pounds. Feeling a rush that has nothing to do with anger or heartache. Reach out to old friends, people I distance myself from. When everything with Lily had consumed my life. They welcomed me back, without question, without judgment. It feels like taking a breath of fresh air. After being trapped in a smoky room, the house, too, continues to change. Replace the old pictures of Lily and me with new artwork, abstract pieces, splashes of bold colors, images that speak of possibilities. Rather than memories, turn the guest room into a small studio, set up an easel, and begin painting again. Something I hadn't done since college. It's messy, imperfect, but it's mine. And that's enough. One afternoon, as I sit in the living room with a cup of coffee, watching the sunlight filter through the curtains, my phone buzzes on the table. Glance at the screen, expecting a message from a friend, or maybe an email from work. Instead, I see Hannah's name flashing on the screen. For a moment, just stare at the notification, a mix of curiosity and something I can't quite name, settling in my chest. Hey, Robert, I've been thinking, would you want to grab a coffee sometime? Just to catch up? Stare at the message for a moment, feeling a smile spread across my face. It had been weeks since I last spoke to Hannah, but not a day had gone by without thinking about her, about the conversation we'd shared, about the connection we'd formed from the ashes of our heartbreak. It isn't romantic, not in the way it's usually portrayed. In movies, it's something deeper, something grounded in reality. We had both walked through the flames, and somehow we had emerged stronger, more whole. Type out a quick reply. I'd love that. How about this weekend? Her response comes almost immediately. A simple sounds perfect. That brings a warmth to my chest I hadn't felt in a long time. It's surprising how such a small, ordinary exchange could feel like the beginning of a new chapter. When Saturday arrives, find myself unexpectedly nervous. It isn't a date, I remind myself. It's just coffee. Two people who understand each other, who had been through the same pain and were still standing. But as I stand in front of the mirror, adjusting my shirt, trying to look like I hadn't just rolled out of bed, realize that this meeting means more to me than I'd been willing to admit. We meet at a cozy cafe downtown, the kind of place with mismatched furniture, worn wooden floors, and the smell of fresh pastries lingering in the air. Hannah is already there when I arrive, sitting at a corner table, her hands wrapped around a steaming mug. When she sees me walk in, a soft, genuine smile spreads across her face. Robert, she greets, her voice light and almost relieved. I'm glad you came, return her smile, feeling the tension ease from my shoulders. Of course. It's good to see you, Hannah. For a while, we talk about the little things. Work, hobbies, the books we're reading. The conversation flows effortlessly, and I find myself laughing more than I had in months. Hannah has a dry, witty sense of humor I hadn't noticed before, and her face lights up when she speaks about things. She's passionate about cooking, hiking, the art classes she'd recently started taking. She seems lighter, more at ease, and I realize that I probably seem that way too. Eventually, though, the conversation drifts, as it inevitably did, back to Lily and Adam. But this time it isn't painful, not like it used to be. It's more like we're looking at something through a window, something that had happened a long time ago, something that no longer has any power over us. How are you holding up? Hannah asks, her eyes searching mine with genuine concern. Pause, considering her question. Then nod, a smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. I'm okay, actually. I think I'm better than okay. It's strange, but I feel free. Her smile softens, and she tilts her head, a knowing look in her eyes. Yeah, I get that, she says quietly. It's like we were carrying around this weight we didn't even know was there, and now it's just gone. Exactly, reply, feeling a sense of understanding pass between us. It was true. Lily's betrayal, Adam's involvement, everything that had felt so overwhelming just weeks ago now seemed like a distant memory, like a chapter in a book I'd finally finished reading. And sitting there with Hannah, realized that I'm not looking back anymore. I'm ready to move forward, to see where this new path might lead. We linger in the cafe for hours, the time slipping by as easily as the conversation. When we finally step outside, the afternoon sun is warm on our faces, and for the first time, in what feels like forever, find myself looking forward to the future, not with dread, but with genuine curiosity. As we say our goodbyes, Hannah reaches out and squeezes my hand, a simple gesture, but it holds a world of meaning. Take care, Robert, she says, her smile sincere. You too, Hannah, reply, feeling a warmth in my chest. As I watch her walk away, it isn't a love story, but it's something better. A story of survival, of rebuilding, of finding strength where we never thought we'd have to look. Walk back to my car, a quiet contentment settling over me. I don't know where this newfound freedom will take me, but I know one thing for sure. I'm ready to find out. For the first time in a long time, Hannah smiles, her eyes softening. Me too. It's like I can finally breathe again. You know, it still hurts, but it's different now. It's like I'm not carrying it around with me all the time. We fall into a comfortable silence then, sipping our coffee, simply enjoying the moment. And as I look at Hannah, realize that maybe this is what healing looks like. Not some grand revelation, not an instant wave of happiness, but quiet moments like this, moments that are simple, genuine, shared with someone who truly understands. Robert, she says suddenly, breaking the silence, her voice tinged with uncertainty. Do you ever think about what's next for you? I mean, meet her gaze, see the vulnerability there, and understand what she's asking. Reach across the table, my fingers brushing gently against hers. It's a small gesture, but it feels like a promise. I don't know what's next, admit softly, but I think I'd like to find out. One step at a time, she smiles, her fingers curling around mine. And in that moment, feel something shift inside me. It isn't love, not yet, but it's real. Something solid, something that feels like the start of a new chapter, a story that I could write on my own terms. We spend the rest of the afternoon there, talking, laughing, sharing pieces of our lives. And when we finally leave, the sun is setting, casting the sky in shades of pink and orange that feel warm and hopeful. Walk Hannah to her car, and as she turns to go, she pauses, glancing back at me. Robert, she says softly, her voice carrying a tenderness. That makes my chest tighten. I'm glad we're in this together. Smile feeling warmth spread through my chest. Me too, Hannah. She gives me one last smile. Before getting into her car and driving away, stand there for a moment, watching the taillights fade into the distance. The air is cool, the sky gradually darkening. Take a deep breath, feeling a sense of peace settle over me. Lily had tried to break me, to take everything I was, and leave me with nothing. But she hadn't succeeded. I was still here, still standing, and ready to face whatever came next. And now I wasn't alone in that journey. As I walk back to my car, feel a sense of hope that I hadn't allowed myself to feel. In a long time, the past was behind me and the future, whatever it held, was mine to shape. And for the first time, I felt truly free.